God is such a great God. He's worthy to be praised. Tonight, I have a wonderful guest, my brother Dennis. He's going to be with us, inspiring, encouraging, and equipping entrepreneurs and any person that's out there who has an idea, who has a dream, who has a vision, and that should step out in faith and act on it. Someone stated, vision without action is hallucination. So my prayer is that each and every one of us will act on our God-inspired vision, ideas, or dreams, and to people in our communities. There are many people that stand to benefit from you acting on that dream idea. I believe each and every one of us, as I always say, to make, and we need to make that contribution and be a blessing to our community and beyond. My brother Dennis, how are you today?
I am awesome, Pastor B. How are you? Can you hear me
Loud and
clearly?
clear. And I am so blessed today. We
Right.
had a wonderful Saturday. I started off on a great note. We had a great service, and I was so encouraged. And I prayed for this session, and I prayed about number one, that people that are tuned in will be inspired to act on whatever God has put in their heart, whatever dream, vision, whatever idea. And I know those ideas will be a great benefit to families, communities, and beyond. And I've been getting quite good
Amen.
feedback from people that have connected and watched the other sessions. And so I'll hand it over to you as people join us in. Some will catch up, some will watch it later. And just before I start, I just want to introduce Dennis. Dennis is a great friend, and he's working right now in a company listed in the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. He's heading the business unit there. He's such a blessing to my life and to many people around. He runs a business that consults, that trains and equips individuals just to rise up and act on their ideas and be a blessing. He's been active the past few days on social media, encouraging a number of people, and I pray that he will encourage you. He loves the Lord with a passion. He's done business, so he's not talking about something that's just an idea. It's something that he's also acted on, and it's not just theory, but it's very, very practical. I'm even, moved to do something about the ideas, the numerous ideas that I have. And many people in my network are also inspired and encouraged. Quite a number of people are calling on you. They want you to minister to them. You just need to ensure you work on your calendar, because there's a lot of people calling on you. And over to you, Dennis. May God use you. I'll just pray before I hand over to you. Father, I thank you for each and every person on this platform that are joining us. I know, Father, in Jesus' name, that you have a purpose for our lives. I pray that you minister through Dennis as he equips, trains us on something that he studied and something that he has practiced. May we be equipped so that we can be a blessing. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Busani. It's great to be with you again. I must say, it was such great fun. The last session we had, hooking up with Coach Keith, and just the chemistry and the interaction was just fantastic. Outside of your platform, I've shared the links of our talks together, and it's wonderful to see people being encouraged by the stuff that we're talking about. So it really gives us a lot of impetus and energy to just continue to encourage people to get into this thing called entrepreneurship, because really that's the only way we can further the kingdom of God. Because if we don't create the capital and we don't create the resources, as a Christian community, we are on the back foot. And we're on the back foot against some very serious resources that are counter to what Christ Jesus would like us to achieve on this earth. So I'm very encouraged by the feedback that we get, and it gives us the energy to keep giving. So today, I want to talk about building a value proposition. And I know Coach Keith is going to come in and talk about the value proposition from the entrepreneur's perspective, but I'm going to look at it purely from an entrepreneurial perspective. So where I'm going to begin is just talking about what we spoke about in my first talk, and there I warned budding entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs who are already in the process of doing what they do to actually stop chasing money and actually start chasing problems. For the benefit of those who couldn't join us in the first session, I'll summarize the two key points that I was raising at the time. The greatest entrepreneurs in the world actually don't chase money. Instead, they actually look for problems that are affecting society, and then they systematically go out to find solutions to these societal problems. So that was the one takeaway. And then the second one was the actual size of their enterprise is directly proportional to the problem that they're trying to solve. And for as long as they can solve that problem better than anyone else, and they remain in business. So if you take, for example, Facebook, this wonderful platform that we are using to interact with our brothers and sisters, if Mark Zuckerberg and his team were failing to solve the societal problem all over the world, share experiences, share memories, and all of those things. If they couldn't do that better than anyone else, there would be a social media platform bigger than Facebook today. So they identified a societal problem that, the world has moved people so far apart. Families, loved ones, friends, are so far apart now that they need some means by which they can keep in touch and update each other. I mean, I interact with you on Facebook and WhatsApp, which also belongs to Facebook. And I think the last time we interacted was you and I bumping into each other on the streets of Joburg, and you were actually in a rush to go somewhere, and we quickly exchanged numbers, and that was that. I physically haven't shaken your hand, Busani, it must be 10 years at least, because we just haven't had that opportunity to interact. So going back to my point, for as long as you are solving a societal problem as an entrepreneur and you are solving that problem better than anyone else, you are in business. So that was the key takeaway from our first conversation. And this leads us on to today's topic, which is how to build a value proposition. And, without wanting to scare people away by, fancy English words, a value proposition is very simple. It's the value that your product or your service provides to your customers, right? And it's important to note that more than 70% of new products and services that are introduced to the market fail to deliver on expectations. And this is generally due to entrepreneurs coming up with products that customers don't want or are actually unwilling to pay money for. And so you need, as an entrepreneur, you need to figure out what your customers want. So the aim of this talk is to help, our brothers and sisters out there starting to craft their businesses or ideating around their businesses, to help you better understand your customer and therefore create value propositions that actually sell. So a good value proposition, it clearly describes the benefits that customers expect from your product or service. It's important that you actually match the benefits with the customer to achieve a fit. So it's almost like, you're trying to take your product and you're trying to take your consumer and finding a way where these things interlock and fit. If I use my fingers as a metaphor. And understanding your customers better will always give you the right feedback for you to be able to design better products and services. Because, gone are the days where that common saying that, build it and they shall come. that doesn't work anymore because consumers have become very fragmented and they've become very discerning and demanding in what they want and what they don't want in products.
Okay.
And so you need to make sure that I always use I like biological terms. I don't know whether it was the impression that Mr. Ferrero at CBC had on me, but I always say you need to keep a stethoscope on the market. You need to actually constantly check on the vital statistics of your market because that's where you get feedback about whether you're doing a good job or a bad job. And looking at your sales figures starting to come down or go up is actually the last thing you should look at because that's the final feedback. So if you start seeing your sales declining, you're already out of business.
Okay.
Because what it tells you is that the consumer changed their mind quite a while back before you started seeing the fact that they're not buying from you anymore.
Okay.
So it's very important that you look at your value proposition. So value proposition design involves the interaction of two critical components, and we've talked about them briefly. So it's your customer segment, i.e., who are you targeting, and it's the actual product or service that you provide. Those two things must interact, and you must find the sweet spot. And the level of interaction between these two components determines whether you have a winning proposition or not. So let's begin with the most important of those two aspects, which is your target customer. Now, your target customer is made up of three aspects that we need to deal with.
Okay.
And these are the customer job to be done, customer pains, and customer gains. And I'll deal with them in a little bit more detail.
Okay.
So your customer job to be done. So consumers or customers actually don't buy products or services. If you really think about it, they actually hire products and services to do a certain job for which they pay. So you actually don't buy a computer. You buy the functionality of the computer to enable you to write your book.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you hire the computer for its utility, right? So that's why we like to look at it as a customer job.
Okay.
Right? The customer really doesn't have any interest in the physical product. They actually have more interest in what it can do for them. And your job as the entrepreneur is to clearly define that job to be done.
Okay.
And if I had to use an example of a job to be done, let's look at a job to be done, for example, the care of children between grade 1 and grade 7 after hours. That's a serious job to be done, given the fact that there are a lot of working parents who do not have the ability to, or the flexibility to be able to look after their children after, say, 1, 2 p.m. when the kids finish school. So that's a job to be done. So you, as an entrepreneur, you actually look into the market and you identify, there's a job to be done here. Now, the next thing we look at in our customer segment is their pains. And we define customer pains as those things that either annoy, prevent, or present risk to your customer when they're trying to get a job done. And going back to our example, a customer pain would be the inability of a working parent to look after their kids after school and be able to work at the same time. That's a serious customer pain, because can you imagine what a parent goes through? They have a job and they need that job to provide a livelihood for their family, but at the same time, they have young kids who go to school and finish school when they are still at work. So now, how do they make sure that those kids are looked after without compromising their livelihood in the form of their employment? So that's a serious pain. And many people have gone about solving that pain. But I'm just using that as an example because, it's nothing new, but I think it clearly illustrates what we talk about when we talk about customer pains. And then the third aspect when we look at our customer profile is the customer gains. In other words, what are those benefits or positive outcomes that your customers seek from using your product or your service? And these gains could be functional gains, they could be social gains, they could be emotional gains, or they could be in the form of cost savings. So if we go back to the example that we're using, a possible customer gain could be, to be able to pick up a child after work who has been fed and their homework has been supervised by a qualified individual. I mean, what a gain that is for any parent to be able to say, you know what, it's 5 p.m., I'm arriving, I'm picking up my child. My child has eaten a decent meal and they've managed to be supervised to do their homework. And maybe all I now need to do when I get home is do some quality checks on the work that's been done. But at least they didn't spend their afternoon watching TV or in the care of people that I don't quite trust. So in order for us to effectively discover these customer jobs, pains, and gains, as an entrepreneur, we actually need to get out of the building. We need to stop ideating and actually start engaging with actual customers to discover and determine the specific jobs, the extent of the pain. Because remember, pain can be measured on a scale of maybe 1 to 10. 1 being ouch and 10 being on the verge of death, of the level of excruciating pain. As the level of the pain. And then you also need to assess the desired gains of your customers. And once you've ascertained those details around the jobs, pains, and gains, it's now up to you as the entrepreneur to actually design a product or a service that accurately addresses these issues. Now, as the entrepreneur, this is now when you need to make your own strategic choices as to which jobs, pains, and gains you want to address based on your capabilities. Because there's no product under the sun that can meet every job, pain, and gain for a customer. Some will get to 80, 90%, but there's nothing like a perfect product, which is why people keep innovating. Otherwise, people would have stopped when for example, if it came to transportation, there would have come a point where if cars were designed so well that there was no other need that could be fulfilled, people would stop ideating around what to do with cars. But guess what? You've got climate change, you've got rising oil costs, you've got all these other things that are coming up, and they're creating other jobs, pains, and gains for customers. And that's why Elon Musk is one of the greatest entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs in the world today, because he's now taken the electric car to another level. So you will never have a value proposition that is 100% perfect. And so it goes back to what I was saying, that you will need to keep that stethoscope to the market to keep assessing whether those jobs, pains, and gains are still being addressed by what you are doing. Okay. So we're now at a stage where, as an entrepreneur, you now take control of the process. You've taken your customers and you've spoken to them and you've understood what their jobs, pains, and gains are. Now it's up to you to say, what can I do to help alleviate these issues? And that takes us to a process now called value mapping. Now you need to actually look at stuff beyond your customer discovery. Now, value mapping is made up of 3 aspects similar to the customer discovery, which is the products and services, and then the pain relievers and the gain creators. So if we talk about products and services, it's simply a list of what you offer based on your capabilities. Okay. So using our example, and I'll use this example right through as we discuss the value proposition. Using our example, the basic product would be aftercare. And I think it's something most parents are familiar with as a service offered either by schools or by independent businesses. So the basic product is aftercare, which could be accompanied by additional services such as a hot lunch and homework supervision. Then pain relievers describe how your products and services actually alleviate the customer pains that we identified when we were doing our customer discovery. And using aftercare as a proposition, you could relieve the pain of working parents worrying about the welfare of their children after school hours, right? So that's a pain reliever. And remember, as you go through your customer discovery, you may come up with a list of 5 jobs to be done, 5 pains and 5 gains, right? And it's up to you to now figure out how you prioritize those and which ones you think you can address. So you may have picked up 5 to 7 customer jobs to be done, but based on your capability and your skill set and your resources, you may say, you know what, I'm only going to pick 1, 2, and those are the ones I'm going to address. So don't try to be this panacea, this one size fits all, easy for zonke type of remedy. It doesn't exist. So zero in on what you think you can do excellently. And then we talk about the game creators, and the game creators describe how your products and services will create benefits for the customer. And one benefit of aftercare that we could talk about is the peace of mind for working parents. I mean, can you just imagine how relaxed a mother would be knowing that, you know what, it's lunchtime, my child has finished school, they're going to aftercare, they're going to get a meal, and their homework will be supervised, and I can focus on, creating a livelihood for my family by concentrating on my work, right? So that's a huge gain creator. Another could be the cost saving that is derived from not having a full-time helper, having to look after my kids. Because, not all of us have the luxury of having homes that will be able to accommodate a full-time helper as well as accommodate the rest of our family. So imagine the cost saving that you then get from not having somebody full-time just watching your child. And chances are, of the jobs to be done, that helper can only do the one job, which is maybe to feed your child and just make sure that they're safe. The homework hasn't been done. So you still need to come back after hours and attend to the whole homework situation. And don't forget, if you bring the child's perspective into it, they've been at school the whole day, they're tired, and mom or dad has now arrived at 6:37 p.m. and they must supervise homework. So that's when we talk about, the gain creators. So it's really a question of taking your customer segment, taking the value proposition or the value map, and marrying these two together and seeing how you can alleviate those customer jobs to be done, the pains and the gains. So a great value proposition is when the entrepreneur can achieve that fit between customer discovery and the value mapping process. And having done so means that firstly, you've hit the mark in actually designing something that customer actually wants. And then the second thing is that you've eliminated any chance of wastage by discovering and providing specifically what the customer needs. And when we talk about wastage, I'll give you an example, is you may have, as a provider of aftercare, you may have then gone ahead and bought, video games and movies and all of these things to entertain aftercare kids, and yet the parents don't want their kids to be entertained after school. They want their kids to have a meal and do their work. So if you haven't talked to your customer, if you haven't interrogated what their needs are, you are going to add cost. Because remember, let's give an example. Let's say you have charged 1,000 Rand a month for aftercare. But because you've gone and thought ahead and you think you are the clever one, and you've gone and bought PlayStations and all of these other things, and your customer actually doesn't need it. What it does is you've basically killed your profitability because you've added cost into your value proposition, and the customer doesn't want it. They want a basic product. But by keeping your stethoscope to the market will then tell you what's missing from your value proposition.
Makes sense, yeah.
So, for example, if grade 1 to 4 parents say, but our kids don't get homework, is there no way you can just at least keep them entertained, right? Then you may have a situation where part of your value proposition then says, okay, for kids from, grade 1 to 4, we will entertain them, we'll then buy them a PlayStation, or we'll subscribe to DSTV and put them in a separate holding class where they can be entertained, and the other kids that require supervision for homework, we put them somewhere else. But guess what? The market has told you what they need.
I get you.
So whenever we talk about designing products and services, we talk about this thing called a minimum viable product, which is the least cost product that you can put together that fulfills the need. And then you wait for customer feedback to tell you whether you need to add more and more things to your value proposition.
Okay.
If the customer doesn't say they want it, don't give it to them, because all you are doing is you're adding cost and reducing your profitability. So keep your ear to the market and understand what it is that your customers actually want. And after designing your value proposition, the next step would be to test it with real paying customers through experimentation on a small scale. And this is the only way you can validate your business idea, to tell you whether to move to the next stage of scaling your business. Furthermore, it's easier for you to attract partners or investors or even employees when you have a proof of concept. Because, gone are the days where, you could come up with a 100-page business plan with projections of how you're going to make profit and how you're going to get market share, and the bank will give you money. Those days are gone, right? Any person wanting to invest in your business is going to ask, is this thing going to work? And you need to be able to say to them, you know what? I experimented with this aftercare thing, I used my apartment. Maybe it's illegal, but I used my apartment and I managed to get 10 kids from my block. I looked after them, from like 2 p.m. until 5 p.m. This is what I did. And the parents have been willing to pay me, 1,000 rand a month. But I can't continue doing this the way I'm doing it. I actually need a proper facility in the form of a house or a building that I can renovate. But I think based on where I'm located, there probably there's a catchment area of 400-500 kids. Maybe I could get up to 100 of them. Would you be willing to invest in my business based on the fact that I have this concept that I've proven? Now, as somebody who is often approached by entrepreneurs with ideas, for me, that's an idea that if I had the money to invest, I would definitely give that person some money.
Okay.
Because they've shown that the concept actually works. And that is the problem that we have as entrepreneurs, where we're always whinging about funding.
Yeah.
And I always say that funding will always follow a great business concept.
I agree.
Funding will always follow a great business concept. It will not follow an idea that's still unproven and untested. So you need to be brave as an entrepreneur and take that leap of faith, and be prepared for that brutal feedback that you're going to get from the market. But the market never lies, because remember, this is people's hard-earned money that they are going to spend on what you are proposing to provide. So the market will be brutally honest with you, and the market will tell you, no, 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 no. This thing that you are trying to give us is rubbish. It's rubbish. Go back to the drawing board and come back with something that we can look at.
Yeah.
So embrace that process, right? And use it as a learning opportunity to allow you to create what customers really want. And then you can avoid being part of that 70% of failures. And that's the critical part. So my encouragement, to my brothers and sisters is that, entrepreneurship is not for sissies.
Yeah.
If you think you're going to sit there and come up with an idea and perfect this idea, and money is just going to drop in your lap and somebody will invest in your business, unless you are doing something that's never been done on earth. I'll use a jocular example: is if you can turn water into wine, then people will beat a path to come and invest in your business. but 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 if you can't do that, you you actually need to go and crush some grapes and ferment them, put them in a bottle, put a label, and offer it to some people. Let them try it, and then they can say, we like this or we don't like this. So let's not fool ourselves. An idea in of itself is just an idea. Until that thing can be commercialized and you can prove that it can be commercialized, it's useless.
Yeah.
It's useless. If great inventions like iPhone were never tested first, there would still be ideas
Wow.
sitting in Steve Jobs' portfolio somewhere, and we would know about
Yeah.
them. So you need to have the guts as an entrepreneur to actually test your concept with real paying customers. Because often when people come to me for advice and coaching, and I like, no, I want to start a business, and this is how I want to go about it. The question I ask them is that, have you actually got somebody who's paid for what you are proposing to do?
Great
And they're
question.
like, no, I need money to do that. And I'm like, no, but the money comes after you've proven the concept. You want to run a restaurant? Okay, cook the meals and get people to actually pay for them. Because then we know that the food that you cook actually tastes nice. I don't care what you think looks like on paper until I actually taste the food.
Get you.
So using that kind of analogy, you need to be able to create something that people can see, touch, and feel, and get an idea of what the price will be and whether they'll be willing to pay for it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's in your mind. You are drinking your own Kool-Aid. You're fooling yourself.
Yeah. Good too.
And unfortunately, that is the brutal reality of entrepreneurship
True.
today. But I don't want to scare people off. But I think we need to be very real
Good to
with
be
each
honest.
other.
Yeah.
Otherwise, platforms like this become a waste
True.
of time. It becomes a talk show where we just pump up people's egos and set them up for failure. Get your idea, cement your value proposition, know your customer segment, and design stuff that people actually want and are willing to pay for. And there are so many methods of experimentation around which you can actually test and validate your concept. So I'm hoping that the next time we meet, I'll be discussing methods by which you can actually test and validate your idea. Doing it small, but being able to at least experiment and test and see whether this idea will work. So Pastor B, I'm gonna sign off here. Um,
That's
and
awesome.
we can take the discussion forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you to you, Dennis. And I'm sure the people that are watching might have questions. And so, what I'll ask you to do, if you get any questions, you could just type the questions on the bottom on your comments, any kind of question. And as Dennis said, our desire is to see you take that idea, whether it's a vision, a dream, and act on it. And so, Dennis has been giving us practical steps on the how to do that. And it would be nice just to get testimonies of ideas that have been translated into reality and are blessing communities. For me, that would be a dream come true, literally. And so, any questions? You see Dennis, you can inbox him directly. You can put comments here and ask questions. So, are you, Dennis, just one last question. Are you done with, you were doing some on social media? I know you were doing a series where you were going through this whole process. Are you done with that, or are you still doing it now?
So we concluded our 5-part workshop series on Wednesday night. I must say it was awesome. We had entrepreneurs from Zim. We had a couple from the UK. We had somebody from Ghana, just almost reinforcing some of the theoretical stuff that I was teaching, and marrying it with the practical aspects, because entrepreneurship is such an exciting field in the sense that there is now a body of knowledge from a theoretical perspective that can help to teach, but it's so married with practical stuff that people have done. So all the stuff that we're talking about, testing of ideas and stuff like that, we interacted with entrepreneurs who have actually done that, and in hindsight don't realize they were actually following a theoretical path of how to develop a business. And so we concluded the series was great fun. I will share with you all the 5 parts, so that our brothers and sisters can jump onto those YouTube links and see what we were talking about, and they can come back to us with questions, ask for assistance. We're here to help.
Awesome.
And that's the very reason why we sit here together to share and impart all these ideas, because we can't rely on employers, current employers and the government to create jobs. The greatest economies in this world have been built by small to medium businesses, and that's entrepreneurship, and it has to be proper entrepreneurship. A guy selling tomatoes on the corner is never going to change the economy. He's going to be a subsistence guy. He starts small, stays small, he dies small, and doesn't create the impact that we want entrepreneurs to create in this world. We need systemic entrepreneurs who start their businesses and either through franchising open more branches of whatever they're doing, or they grow their businesses and employ more people and more skills into their businesses. That's the only way we can grow the economy. So it's something I'm very passionate about, because I see too little of it going on at the moment. And when we talk about, entrepreneurs looking for problems, I mean, the problems in society are just so many.
Exactly.
There are just so many. I mean, one of the guys that our final guest in our entrepreneurship series is a guy who has started a business that makes charcoal out of coconut waste in Ghana. He realized that there was a problem with coconut waste because Ghanaians consume a lot of coconut water. So you find vendors selling coconuts on the street. They strip the coconut, they cut it up, and somebody drinks the coconut, and then they throw that waste away. And it was now flooding the beaches as litter. And he thought, surely there's something I can do with this waste. And he ideated around making charcoal briquettes out of that coconut waste. Today, this guy is producing 3,000 bags an hour of charcoal based on waste, which he gets for free. And he is solving a societal problem, because once charcoal burns, charcoal produces less, emissions as burning firewood. So he's taken all that trash and turned it to cash. And when we discuss issues around business model, one business model pattern that is there is actually called trash for cash. And when we were chatting with Amin, who is the entrepreneur who started this, he didn't even know that there is actually a theoretical business model pattern that's actually called trash for cash. And he was intrigued because that's exactly what he's doing. So what we are saying is that there are theoretical tools available for an entrepreneur to actually start their business and lessen their risk of failure by following certain patterns. Why do you want to reinvent the wheel when there are people who have bent their fingers, lost money, lost their houses, and now all those learnings have been distilled into lessons that people can learn to avoid those risks and increase their chances of success?
Yeah. Awesome, Dennis, man. Thank you so much. Truly, truly appreciate it. May God bless you. May God bless your family. Looking forward to our session next week.
Thank
And
you.
just pray and hope each and every one of you watching now or watching later are being edified. And you can take this and apply it in your businesses or in your idea if you haven't started. I want to encourage you to start now. Someone stated experts were once beginners. All these household brands were started somewhere, and you can start now. Don't be afraid. If you make a mistake, as John C. Maxwell says, fail forward, rise up, pick up a lesson, and do it again. As Dennis has said, he's done many business ventures, and some of them were total failures, and some of them were successes. And he's able to teach us valuable lessons from his mistakes and his failures. And so, yeah, do something about that idea, do something about that business. Dennis Mhangami, I love you, my brother. Eh? Virilite Ajay. Act manfully.
Act manfully. Thanks, Pusani. All right.
Send my love to the family, to your lovely
Cheers.
wife. Thank you so much. Thank you for giving us your time, particularly so late in the evening, and your lovely children. Just send our love from all of us.
Thank you,
Cheers,
Pusani. Take care. All right.
May God bless each and every one of you. We're hoping if Coach Keith is on the platform, we're just going to have him for 60 seconds with Coach Keith. We love him. He is a man that loves the Lord with a passion. He's got a beautiful family, surrounded by God. He's a coach in the corporate world, a coach in non-governmental organization, and he has impacted that's the whole, I'll say the whole continent and beyond. And yeah, I pray that he continues to be a blessing to us as he's always been, and we can just believe as he shares wonderful tested concepts, act on them, and become who God created us to become. Coach Keith, over to you for 60 seconds with Coach Keith. Blessings to you. And you can make it more than 60 seconds.
Thank you, Busani, and thank you, Dennis. You probably are watching, but yeah, the last time we were together, it just reconnected us back. You won't believe what I remembered about you. I think I was trying to coach an under-16 cricket, and it's a sport I never played. So I think you challenged me to bowl. Now, I couldn't get my swing around it. I was the coach. I couldn't get my swing around it, so I did a bowling action that was tantamount to throwing the ball at the guy. And you didn't have the decency of at least respecting your teacher and saying, well done. You just gave it to me. That's a throw. That's a throw. That's not a... It hurt my feelings, Dennis. So I think you owe me an apology, I must say. I'm still waiting for that apology. Please send it down. But I think Dennis gave us a mouthful, quite a lot of stuff to learn. I'm looking forward to the links and all that. I wasn't aware that there's a body of knowledge about entrepreneurship, which is something I've just discovered. And there's lots of people that would like to help get into that field. I also want to learn a lot about it. So yeah, I think we need to get that information and begin to process it. I just want to say that, which I think Dennis mentioned, that entrepreneurship is not for everybody. I think you don't become an entrepreneur because you can't find a job, and therefore you want to find an idea which you can then put out there and find a value proposition. You can't push it from that end. It's not a substitute for not being employed. It must be something you do because you are passionate about it, because there's something about the problem that you see that you really want to connect with. Because it will have to be driven from inside out. It can't be, I've no money, so let me think of a concept and go out there, research it and sell it. It's not sustainable. So it must come from some space, you know, and I believe genuine entrepreneurship that grows into brands is not an issue about making money. It's about chasing a cause. The problem that you identify, it must be something that you feel you must add value to society. It's not just about the dollars and cents. So you need to come from that space. You know, it must link to that space. So having said that, not everyone should be an entrepreneur. Not everyone is the entrepreneurship gene. Yes, you can develop out of a need, but it's not everyone who is that way wired. Some people have to just go work, retire, get their packages, and go home and do whatever they need to do, because you'll be frustrated if you are not that way inclined. But you need to try it out to figure out whether you are that way inclined.
Okay.
I want to come from the angle that developing your value proposition over and above what Dennis has said, or as part of it. And I'm speaking from the experience I've had myself and with other entrepreneurs. You must align it with who you are. My business is driven not just by the problem I'm solving. And the reason I think I have an upper hand to do what I do, which I've had the privilege to do it all over the world, and it's because it's an extension of who I am. There are a lot of people who can do what I do and offer the value that I do, but because it's coming from my personality traits and who I am, it gives me an advantage. In other words, I offer something unique that you can't duplicate or replicate, because it's based on, to a certain extent, on my who I amness, if you so wish. So there's an extent to which your value proposition must somehow relate to something that's within your own self. The next level where you can get competitive, because your value proposition is just giving you a competitive advantage over others, because anyone can offer what you are offering. So how does it become very unique?
Okay.
So you can get it from who you are within yourself, your personality traits, etc., etc. That can help refine your unique offering. Number two, your experience. There is stuff I've gone through just from being from Africa. When I go overseas, the reason I have such impact is because I'm coming from a place in Africa which is unique. And a lot of people in Europe, Eastern Europe, Asia, don't have the same kind of script that I have.
Okay.
So that has caused my offering to be extra unique. Now, you can have somebody from Africa or from a similar environment, and they are offering something similar. That's where you dig into saying, my personal experience has given me certain filters and certain lenses through which I see things. And if you are able to dig from your experience to refine your offering, that's another filter you can use. So yourself, your personality, find something within yourself that can give you insight and a way of doing things that cannot be duplicated. Then find something within your experience, good and bad. I mean, coming from Africa, I'm in the Middle East, and no one has experienced what I've experienced in the Middle East. So I come from that space, and I'm able to present to them something that's so unique they cannot somehow say no, but we can figure this out this way and the other way. So your experience, and then you need to go further from your experience to then say your actual local environment. Let's say you are dealing with the people in your local environment. How can you compete? How can you be different? How can your value proposition be compelling? After you've done your research and tested all that, how can it be compelling? So it's important that you understand the customer, the local customer, if that's your segment. You understand their space thoroughly and leverage your own experience in that space to refine the uniqueness of what you are offering them. So my biggest contribution was that there is something within you, there's something around you that will give you insights and ways of filtering processes that will help you refine your unique offering. And do not just go and say, Apple has done it this way, so I'm going to also think differently. And you take their payoff lines and their tag lines and you just paste it and you put that all together and you make it your unique selling point. There's a big difference. Get back into your space and say, and to be spiritual, there's a path God has put you through. And in that path are the seeds of how you can shape your unique selling point or your proposition. So try to find that which you've gone through. Dennis said it's about solving problems. You know, some of us have gone through such difficult situations like losing loved ones time after time. There could be an opportunity for you to be able to support those who have gone through the same by offering counseling services. So you then decide, let me get training in counseling, grief counseling or whatever you call it, because it's something I feel I've experienced. And because you are coming from that space, another guy who can set up an enterprise in grief counseling with all the technology and everything will not be able to relate to the client to the same extent you would. So your own grief is actually helped you refine your unique selling point. If you are from a Zulu culture or Sutu culture or whatever, you ask yourself, hasn't this put me in some point of advantage? Is there no way I can see this from a Zulu or Sutu perspective that can be unique to me? And so my point is, in refining your value proposition, do not shy away from your total context, because in there, I believe, are tools and ways of refining that value proposition. So, but I must warn that not all of us are meant to be entrepreneurs. It's a hard space, and I think Dennis mentioned that. It's a very hard space, but don't shy away from it. Try it like Usano was saying, try it and fail, and try again and fail and try again until you get to the point where you say, this is not cut, I'm not cut out for this. But it's a lot of work. It's not selling tomatoes by the roadside or cutting a deal here and there. It's a lot of work. But yes, get back to yourself and say, what is unique about me? What have I gone through that I can help to refine my unique selling point? I could go on forever, Busani, but thank you for having me.
Coach, thank you so much. Once a teacher, always a teacher. Truly appreciate the ability
please tell Dennis to apologize. Please tell Dennis to apologize.
Dennis, you're listening, eh? You better apologize.
Otherwise, you get
Coach,
detention,
thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much, Coach Kids, for your insight. We truly appreciate it. And once again, to each and every person that was able to join us tonight, thank you so much. I want to encourage you. I know you have a vision. I know you have a dream. And I know some of you have acted on it. And some of you are seeing progress. Some of you might not see progress at all. You know, in light of COVID-19, maybe you are not breaking even. Maybe the business seems to be going down and you feel like there's no hope. Don't give up on that vision. If God gave it to you, I'm going to speak from a Christian perspective. You know, God will give you a vision often that is bigger than you. And that vision will be not only to bless you and your family, but the vision will be to bless many people around you, to create employment, as Dennis stated, to solve problems, societal problems. We got a lot of problems. We need solutions. And I thank God that you are part of that solution. So rise up, as what someone stated, hold the vision, trust the process. But I want to add and say, hold that vision, act on that vision, and through process, trust God right through the process as you do everything you can with everything that you have. The resources you have, use them. And many a time people, you have excuses. And as Dennis stated, being a pastor, and the people I meet and sometimes the people you're coaching, You hear people telling you, I don't have money, I wish I had money. And when you ask them, as Dennis says, proof of concept, what have you done with that little dream that you have or that vision that you have? If you're saying you want to be an event manager or run, if you run a wedding in your family, if you helped your family organize a wedding, have you, if you say you want to own a little restaurant, have you ever cooked a meal and invited family members over and asked them what they think? Or run a family event and volunteered to run a family event? Such things we can all do. And I'm asking you, wherever you are, start acting on that dream in Jesus' mighty name. If you have a book and you say, I'm going to want to write books and publish books, start writing those manuscripts. Write them. You use your notepad. Just write that book and you publish it later when money comes, and send those manuscripts. Let people read and tell them ask them what they think. You soon start having a following and people saying, write the book. I did the same. I do my devotions regularly, and people are saying, write a book. So I've got a lot. I've been doing it for 3 years. I can publish. I'm publishing them end of this year. I'm just giving you an example. I can't tell someone that I'm going to write a book someday, but I've got to write. If God has gifted me in that, I've got to write. I've got to start doing something. It doesn't cost much to use. You can use your phone. You can use your laptop. But whatever it is that God has inspired you to do, instead of talking about it, start acting on it. In Jesus' name, be blessed. Can I pray with you before we go? Thank you to each and every minister. Dennis Mhangami, thank you so much. Coach Keith Haywood, truly, truly appreciate it. Thank you. And thanks to your family, each and every person that joined us. Thank you so, so much. Father, we thank you for just using this platform to be a blessing. We thank you for each and every person that comes with their own contribution that makes it so beautiful. Thank you for the diversity, and thank you for the unique experiences and skill sets, knowledge. And thank you that they're sharing this, and it will add value to people that come here, connect, and tap into that and act on it. Thank you for the feedback we are getting. Thank you for the testimonies we are getting of people that act on that in their own businesses, in their own visions, and they're seeing a difference. Father, thank you that we'll be able in future to share that and encourage other people. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen. And as I close, don't be ashamed of your story, because it could just encourage somebody else. Have you ever noticed that when you're reading autobiographies, what's normally encouraging is when they go through challenges. The exciting one is that when you read chapter 1 or chapter 2 and see they went bankrupt, they lost everything, and they got it all and succeeded. That's what makes it exciting. So as you go through your own story, as you go through your own storms, as you go through your own challenges, trust God to work, keep studying. You face a problem, you make a mistake, learn, keep educating yourself, educate your craft, exercise it and polish your skill. And someday we'll be reading about you, we'll be watching you on a talk show, and I'll be saying, I know that person, I know that person, I remember that person. And you'll be saying, thank God I never gave up. So God bless you. Good night. Have a wonderful, restful night.